Hi, here I am, Andy XL, back again with another NFXL podcast. And in this one, it's going to be part one of my preview of week 4. And in this, I'll just look at tonight's game, the Thursday night game, and the game on Sunday in Dublin, good old Dublin town. So let's get underway. By means of introductions, 32 teams started the season with a variety of hopes and expectations. After 3 weeks of actions, we have 6 teams who have a perfect record, and as such are probably about 30% of the way to the postseason already. 6 others are winless, and the postseason is beginning to look a long way away for them. Only the Texans in 2018 have made the postseason from an 0-3 start this century. The last team to make the postseason from 0-4 were the then San Diego Chargers in 1992. So the Dolphins, Jets, Texans, Titans, Giants, and Saints are already drinking in the last chance saloon pretty much this week. Lose again and go to 0-4, and you have to go back over 30 years to find somebody who makes the postseason. So we've got 9 other teams with 2-1 records. 6 of those are in the NFC, and that leaves 11 on 1-2. Those on 2-1 can boost their postseason hopes with a week 4 win, whereas those on 1-2 need wins to keep pace in the race for the postseason. How many of these 6 perfect teams will remain so after week 4? How many will get their first win? Who will emerge from the middling pack this week? We're about to find out. Regarding my own picks to win, week 3 was a bad one for me, as I correctly predicted just 8 of the 16 winners. So that's a pretty low number for me, I have to say. But overall for the season, I'm 35 of 48 for the season. That's just shy of 73% accuracy. And I'm going to aim to get back to my levels of week 1 and 2 this coming week. So well into double figures. Let's see how we do. But let's start with the Thursday night game. Seattle Seahawks at Arizona Cardinals. Another key NFC West in-division matchup. When we talk about notable injuries for Seattle, in their secondary, Devin Witherspoon, the cornerback, Nick Emmanuel, he looks like he's doubtful at safety. Julian Love, the other safety. So they've got issues in their secondary. Zach Charbonnet looks likely to be back at running back. Anthony Bradford and Josh Jones. Jones is out on the O-line. Bradford is another injury question mark, as is Boye Mafe at inside linebacker. For Arizona, they've lost James Conner at running back. They've got a number of people with various injury concerns on their O-line. Will Hernandez, Evan Brown, Kelvin Beecher, and Paris Johnson. And then in their secondary, Will Johnson, he's looking more likely to miss than start this game at cornerback. Darren Hall is another concern there. Akeem Davis Gaither's dealing with injury at inside linebacker, and wide receiver Zay Jones has been ruled out with concussion. So that's the team news, if you like. In the uber competitive NFC West, both these teams have 2-1 records, and as such are in a 3-way tie for second behind the 49ers. Both of these teams have also already lost to the 49ers, and with San Fran favoured to beat the Jags on Sunday, whoever loses here will fall to at best a share of last place in the division, and could well, in effect, be 2.5 games back of the 49ers in the divisional title race. So it's quite a key game, this, in terms of where they're going to stand after this. So as with all games in this type division, the in-division games are more important than in less competitive divisions. So as I say, this is a big game for both of these teams. Cardinals need it after that loss to the 49ers last week. The Seahawks will look to build on emphatic wins over the Steelers and Saints in the last 2 weeks. Those who have watched my previous podcasts will know I believe Kyler Murray is more error prone than most quarterbacks when hurried. All quarterbacks make errors when they're hurried, but Murray seems to have a hurry Murray. When he's put under pressure, Murray makes mistakes. So what pressures the Seahawks D line has put on opposing quarterbacks has principally come up the middle via Jaron Reed and Byron Murphy, and from the outside in the shape of Leonard Williams and Derek Hall. With James Conner missing this game, I know Benson will do fill in well for him, but you still losing your experienced lead running back. So those two interior guys And when I'm talking about Reed and Murphy there, they could be pivotal in both pass and run defense against the Cardinals. And with the Cardinals having all those injury issues on their own line, that has to be a concern for Arizona here, that the Seahawks are going to get pressures on Murray. The Cardinals have been excellent against the run so far this season, so Sam Darnold may need to win this one through the air as the Seahawks to get a third consecutive win here. That in itself could be tough if the Cardinals get Will Johnson back. That looks doubtful. And the Cardinals' pass rush comes from the outside with Josh Sweat, Calais Campbell, and Zayvon Collins leading the way. So they can get their own pressures on the Seattle quarterback. But if the Seahawks' offensive tackles can hold up the Cardinals' pass rush, that would be great news for the Seahawks, and that could be another key in deciding who wins this game. So to sum up, the interior of the Cardinals' D-line and the exterior of their O-line may hold the keys to this game. This should be a close one, but the absence of James Conner and those multiple concerns on the Cardinals' O-line health-wise, and the Seahawks likely to see some or all of their injured players returning this week, they look like they might be healthier than the Cardinals. I suspect the pressure the Seahawks will create up the middle could give the Seahawks the edge here. So I'm going to go for Seattle to win in Arizona by 23-20 in the Thursday night game. So let's move on to the Dublin game on Sunday afternoon, where the Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers travel across the pond. It's in theory a home game for Pittsburgh, but it's on a neutral venue, so they're giving up that home advantage. Injury front, okay, we know about JJ McCarthy from Minnesota. Aaron Jones, we know he's out at running back as well. But both the guys who sort of picked up the load from them last week did really well. We've got a couple of O-linemen with issues, Ryan Kelly and Justin School. For Pittsburgh, it's some notable ones on the defensive side. Joey Porter, cornerback, Deshaun Elliott, safety, Alex Highsmith. It looks like he's out, inside linebacker. And on the offensive line, Andrus Peat. So not too many health issues, but some notable ones there. Both teams head across the pond with 2-1 records, but both will find it tough to win their respective divisions. Minnesota have got Green Bay and Detroit to cope with. Pittsburgh being helped out by the Cincinnati injury to Joe Burrow, and you wouldn't think Cleveland are much of a danger still, even though they got that result against Green Bay last week. But Detroit's showing last week was so impressive that they Minnesota to get past them, and Pittsburgh have got to get past Baltimore, who Detroit defeated, but they still look like clearly the best team in this division to me. So I'm saying both these teams are most likely looking at a wild card route to make it to the postseason. And as such, a loss here is far from disastrous for each team, but a win would put them at the front of the pack in their own respective wild card races. J.K. McCarthy's out for this one. So Carson Wentz, can he be effective as he was last week? Whilst Aaron Rodgers will hope the Minnesota defense is far less effective than it was last week. They absolutely were destroyed Cincinnati last week. In terms of yardage, Pittsburgh ranks towards the bottom of the league for both the pass and run offensively, and have also given up plenty in both regards on defense. For Minnesota, it's the ground offense that has actually been their strength. Although with Jordan Addison back for this one after his suspension, the pass offense certainly has plenty of weaponry available to Carson Wentz. And, Jordan Mason did really well for him at running back last week. On defense, they've been much better against the pass than the run. So, like I'm saying, I think this could be another big game for Jordan Mason. I can see him going off with good yardage but having an impact in this game. And with the Steelers depleted in their secondary and at linebacker, the passing game should work for them too, assuming Wentz just stays steady and dependable and does what you want him to do without overcomplicating things. With all that in mind, as long as the Vikings O-line can protect Wentz to avoid him making errors, then the Vikings should have too much offensive power for the Steelers to cope with. I'll go for the Vikings to win in Dublin. And I'll say 27-20. So 10 minutes to look at the first two games of the season. That's part one. In part two, I'll look at the early Sunday games. Um, and then the part three will be the remainder of the games late Sunday and into Monday. So that's my look at the first two games of the week. I'm picking wins for Seattle and Minnesota. And let's see what happens in my quest to get back to getting 12, 13, 14 right this week. So enjoy week 4, and I'll be back with parts 2 and part 3 nearer the time when there's more clarity on the injury situation. All right, see you soon.